A 13-year-old black boy helped a stranger at the airport, then found out he was a billionaire. The sleek private jet touches down on the tarmac, its gleaming white exterior reflecting the midday sun. Inside, 13-year-old Marcus Johnson grips the leather armrest, his eyes wide with disbelief. Across from him sits Harrison Wells, one of the richest men in America, casually reviewing documents on a tablet as if flying a teenage boy across the country in his personal aircraft is an everyday occurrence. "Are you sure about this, Mr. Wells?" Marcus asks, his voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. "My mom doesn't even know where I am." Harrison looks up, his weathered face softening. "Your mother received my message by now, and yes, I'm absolutely certain. What you did for me at that airport changed everything, Marcus. Everything." Marcus stares out the window at the approaching skyline of New York City, a place he'd only seen in movies. How did helping a confused old man find his gate 3 days ago lead to this moment? And why would a billionaire upend his entire schedule for a kid from South Chicago? Little does Marcus know that Harrison Wells has been searching for someone exactly like him for the past 30 years. Someone honest, someone uncorrupted by greed or ambition, someone worthy. But to understand how a chance encounter at O'Hare International Airport led to this moment, we need to go back to where it all began. 3 days earlier, the crowded terminal of O'Hare International Airport buzzes with activity. Passengers rush to gates, drag overstuffed luggage, and stare anxiously at departure boards. Among them, Marcus Johnson weaves through the crowd, his worn backpack slung over one shoulder. He isn't a passenger. He's just here to see his cousin off on a flight to Atlanta, but his aunt needed to take an important call outside, leaving Marcus alone to navigate the massive terminal. He doesn't mind. At 13, Marcus prides himself on his independence. His mother works double shifts as a nurse at County General, so he's learned to fend for himself. He stops at a pretzel stand, counting out the few dollars his aunt gave him before calculating whether he can afford both a pretzel and a drink. Math has always come easily to him. "Excuse me, young man." Marcus turns to find an elderly white man with thinning silver hair and a rumpled suit standing behind him. Despite the quality of the man's clothes, Marcus can tell expensive fabric when he sees it. The stranger seems disoriented, almost lost. "I seem to have misplaced my glasses, and these boarding passes might as well be written in hieroglyphics. Could you possibly tell me which gate I'm supposed to be at?" Marcus hesitates. His mother has drilled into him never to engage with strangers, especially in places like airports. But something in the man's tired eyes reminds him of his grandfather before he passed, a kind of weariness that comes from carrying too much for too long. "Sure," Marcus replies, taking the crumpled boarding pass. "You're at gate C42, sir. That's in Terminal 1. We're in Terminal 3 right now, so you've got a bit of a walk." The old man's face falls. "Oh dear, and my flight leaves in 30 minutes. Marcus glances at his watch, then at the direction his aunt had gone. She wouldn't be back for a while, knowing how long her work calls typically run. "I can show you the way if you want," he offers, surprising himself. "It's not too far if we take the airport train." Relief washes over the man's face. "That would be tremendously helpful, thank you." As they walk toward the airport's transit system, Marcus maintains a respectful distance, remembering his mother's warnings. The old man moves slowly, occasionally wincing as if in pain. "I'm Marcus, by the way," he says, filling the silence. "Harrison," the man replies, offering no last name. "Do you often help lost old men in airports, Marcus?" Marcus laughs. "No, sir, first time actually." "Well, I'm grateful it's me." If you want to see how this story unfolds and what happens when Marcus discovers who Harrison really is, stick with us. This journey is just beginning. They board the airport train, finding seats in the nearly empty car. Harrison seems to relax slightly, the tension in his shoulders easing. "Are you traveling somewhere exciting?" Marcus asks, noticing the man has no luggage beyond a small leather briefcase. Harrison studies him for a moment. "Not exciting, no, just another business meeting. Been having them for 50 years now. They all blur together eventually." He pauses, regarding Marcus with newfound interest. "What about you, traveling alone at your age?" "Oh, I'm not traveling. My cousin's flying to Atlanta for a basketball tournament. My aunt's somewhere on a work call." Marcus gestures vaguely back toward Terminal 3. "I'm just here for the pretzels." Harrison laughs, a genuine sound that transforms his tired face. "Best reason to be at an airport, if you ask me." The train slows as they approach Terminal 1, and Marcus stands. "This is us." As they exit, Harrison moves with more difficulty than before, subtly bracing himself against the wall. Marcus notices but says nothing, simply slowing his pace. "It's down this way," he says, pointing toward Concourse C, about a 5-minute walk. Harrison nods gratefully, and they continue in companionable silence. The terminal is less crowded here, the morning rush having subsided. Their footsteps echo against the polished floor. "Do you like school, Marcus?" Harrison asks suddenly. The question catches Marcus off guard. "Sometimes I like math and science, the rest is okay." "Math and science," Harrison repeats thoughtfully. "Good subjects, practical. My mom says the same thing, she wants me to be a doctor like her someday, but—" Marcus trails off, uncertain why he's sharing this with a stranger. "But what?" Harrison prompts gently. Marcus shrugs. "I don't know. I like building things more. Computers, robots, stuff like that. I've been teaching myself coding from YouTube videos." Harrison's eyebrows rise slightly. "Self-taught coding at your age? Impressive." They round a corner and gate C-42 comes into view. A small line of passengers has already formed at the boarding desk. "There you are, sir, right on time." Marcus points to the gate sign. Harrison reaches into his pocket and pulls out a crisp $50 bill, offering it to Marcus. "Thank you for your help. Please take this for your trouble." Marcus steps back, hands raised. "No, thank you, I don't need that, just glad to help." Something flickers across Harrison's face, surprise, perhaps even approval. He returns the bill to his pocket. "Well then, at least let me buy you that pretzel you were contemplating earlier." Before Marcus can protest, Harrison approaches a nearby concession stand, returning moments later with a large pretzel and a bottle of water. "Considerate payment for your guide services," Harrison says with a small smile, handing over the food. "Thank you," Marcus replies, accepting the gesture. "Have a safe flight, Mr. Harrison." "It's just Harrison, and thank you, Marcus. You've made an old man's day considerably better." The boarding announcement for first-class passengers echoes through the terminal. Harrison glances toward the gate, then back at Marcus. For a moment, he seems to be considering something, his eyes calculating. "Perhaps our paths will cross again someday," he says finally, extending his hand. Marcus shakes it, noting the firm grip despite the man's apparent frailty. "Maybe. Goodbye, Harrison." With a final nod, Harrison joins the boarding line, disappearing into the jetway moments later. Marcus watches until he's gone, then checks his watch. His aunt will be looking for him by now. As he makes his way back to the train, munching on his pretzel, Marcus has no idea that this brief encounter has set in motion events that will change his life forever. He doesn't know that the simple act of helping a stranger find his gate has caught the attention of one of the most powerful men in the country. He doesn't know that Harrison Wells, founder of Wells Technologies and worth over $70 billion, has just made a decision that will reshape both their futures. All Marcus knows is that he needs to get back to Terminal 3 before his aunt starts to worry. Back in Terminal 3, Marcus's Aunt Tanya paces near the security checkpoint, her phone pressed to her ear. When she spots him approaching, relief washes over her face. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere." She quickly ends her call. "Where did you go? I told you to stay put." "Sorry, Aunt Tanya. I was helping an old man find his gate. He was lost and couldn't read his boarding pass without his glasses." Tanya's expression softens slightly, though concern still lingers in her eyes. "Marcus, honey, I know your heart's in the right place, but you can't just wander off with strangers. Your mother would have a fit if she knew." "He was like 70 years old, Aunt Tanya. What was he gonna do, kidnap me with his walker?" Marcus jokes, though no walker had been present. "Age doesn't determine character," she replies firmly. "Promise me you'll be more careful." "I promise," Marcus says, knowing his aunt is right despite the innocence of the encounter. "Did Jamal's flight leave yet?" "Just took off." Tanya checks her watch. "We should head home. Your mom's expecting you back by dinner." As they walk toward the parking garage, Marcus can't help but glance back at the terminal. There was something different about Harrison, something he couldn't quite place. The way the man had looked at him, not through him like most adults, but truly at him, as if really seeing him. Little does Marcus know that at that very moment, 30,000 feet above Illinois, Harrison Wells is making a phone call that will set extraordinary events in motion. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below as we continue this incredible journey. The Johnson family apartment sits on the third floor of a well-maintained but aging building in South Chicago. It's modest 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a small kitchen opening into a living area, but Lisa Johnson has transformed it into a warm, loving home for herself and Marcus. Family photos line the walls, alongside Marcus's academic achievements and science fair certificates. Lisa stands at the stove, stirring a pot of her famous jambalaya when Marcus returns from the airport. The rich aroma of spices fills the apartment. "There's my boy," she says, wiping her hands on her apron to give him a quick hug. "How was the airport? Did Jamal get off okay?" Yeah, all good, Marcus replies, dropping his backpack on the kitchen table. He considers telling his mother about Harrison but decides against it. She works hard enough without worrying about him talking to strangers. Homework done? Lisa asks, returning to her cooking. Most of it, just have some history reading left. Lisa nods approvingly. A single mother since Marcus was 4, she's raised him to value education above all else. Her own journey from the South Side to becoming a registered nurse serves as a daily reminder of what determination can achieve. Get it done before dinner, okay? Mrs. Winters from next door might stop by later. Her grandson just got accepted to MIT on a full scholarship. Thought you might want to hear about it. Marcus groans internally but nods. This is his mother's not-so-subtle way of keeping his academic focus sharp. A parade of successful neighborhood kids regularly passes through their living room, each one held up as an example of what Marcus could achieve. In his small bedroom, Marcus pulls out his history textbook but finds his mind wandering back to the airport, to Harrison. There had been something in the old man's eyes, a kind of weariness but also a spark of something else. Curiosity, recognition. Shaking his head, Marcus forces himself to focus on his reading. By the time his mother calls him for dinner, he's managed to finish the assigned chapter on the civil rights movement. Dinner passes pleasantly, with Lisa sharing stories from her shift at the hospital. Despite working long hours, she always makes time to connect with Marcus, to hear about his day, his thoughts, his dreams. So I was thinking, she says as they clear the dishes together, maybe this weekend we could visit that robotics exhibition at the museum, the one you mentioned last week. Marcus's face lights up. Really? Don't you have to work? Traded shifts with Denise. I'm all yours Saturday. She smiles, the exhaustion in her eyes momentarily eclipsed by joy at her son's excitement. This is their rhythm, sacrifices made, small luxuries saved for, moments of connection carved out of busy schedules. It's not perfect, but it's theirs, and for Marcus, it's always been enough. Later that night, as Marcus drifts toward sleep, his thoughts return once more to Harrison. He wonders what kind of business the old man conducts, where he was flying to, whether he made his meeting on time. Just before consciousness slips away entirely, Marcus remembers something odd. When Harrison had handed him the boarding pass, there had been a logo at the top, a stylized W inside a circle. At the time, it hadn't registered as significant, but now, hovering between wakefulness and dreams, Marcus realizes where he's seen that symbol before. It's the logo for Wells Technologies, one of the largest tech companies in the world. Morning arrives with the insistent blare of an alarm clock. Marcus fumbles to silence it, momentarily disoriented by the vivid dream he was having, something about flying, about New York skyscrapers viewed from above. The reality of Tuesday morning intrudes, school awaits. With practiced efficiency, he showers, dresses, and joins his mother in the kitchen. Lisa, already in her hospital scrubs, places a bowl of oatmeal in front of him. Bus in 20 minutes, she reminds him, sipping her coffee while reviewing patient notes on her tablet. Don't forget your science project. It's due today, right? Marcus nods, his mouth full of oatmeal. The project, a simple robot he'd built that could navigate a maze, sits by the door in its protective case. He's proud of it, having spent weeks perfecting the sensor array and programming the navigation algorithms. Will you be late tonight? He asks, knowing Tuesdays often mean extended shifts for his mother. Probably. Mrs. Garcia will check in on you. Leftovers are in the fridge. Lisa pauses, studying her son's face. Everything okay? You seem distracted. Marcus considers telling her about Harrison, about the Wells Technologies logo, but it seems silly in the morning light. What would he even say? I helped an old man who might work for a tech company. Just thinking about the science project, he lies. Hope Mr. Delaney likes it. Lisa kisses the top of his head. He'll love it. You're brilliant, remember. With that, she's out the door, her scrubs already disappearing down the hallway as she rushes to catch the early train to the hospital. Marcus finishes his breakfast, packs his lunch, and carefully lifts his science project. Another day begins, normal in every way, or so he thinks. Southside College Prep is a public magnet school that draws students from across Chicago. Marcus earned his spot through a combination of excellent test scores and an entrance exam that had him solving problems most high schoolers would struggle with. Even among this academically elite group, he stands out in mathematics and computer science. The morning passes in a blur of classes: English literature, pre-calculus, history. By lunchtime, Marcus has almost forgotten about Harrison and the chance encounter at the airport. Almost. As he sits with his small circle of friends in the cafeteria, his phone buzzes with a notification. Probably his mother checking in, he thinks, pulling it from his pocket. Instead, he finds an email from an unfamiliar address, assistant at Wellstech, com. Subject, regarding your encounter with Harrison Wells. Marcus stares at the screen, food forgot. Harrison Wells, the Harrison Wells. Earth to Marcus, his friend Dion says, waving a hand in front of his face. You going catatonic on us, man? Sorry, Marcus mutters, quickly pocketing the phone. Just got a weird email. Probably another college trying to recruit our resident genius, Dion jokes, nudging their other friend, Sophia. They start younger every year, Sophia agrees, returning to her sandwich. Marcus manages a weak smile, but his mind is racing. Harrison Wells is the founder and CEO of Wells Technologies, a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The man revolutionized quantum computing, artificial intelligence, renewable energy. His innovations have reshaped the modern world. And yesterday, Marcus had helped him find his gate at O'Hare. The rest of the school day passes in a haze of distraction. Even during the science fair, as Mr. Delaney praises his maze-solving robot, Marcus's thoughts keep returning to the email sitting unread on his phone. What could Harrison Wells possibly want with him? When the final bell rings, Marcus finds a quiet corner of the school library and opens the email with trembling fingers. Dear Marcus Johnson, on behalf of Mr. Harrison Wells, I would like to express his sincere gratitude for your assistance yesterday at O'Hare International Airport. Mr. Wells was particularly impressed by your kindness, intelligence, and integrity. Mr. Wells would like to offer you an opportunity to tour Wells Technologies research and development facilities in New York this coming weekend. All expenses would be covered, including first-class travel for both you and a parent guardian. If this is of interest, please have a parent or guardian contact me at this email address or at the phone number below to discuss details. Respectfully, Billionaire Fam Executive Assistant to Harrison Wells Technologies, Inc. Marcus reads the email 3 times, his heart pounding. This can't be real. It has to be a prank or worse, some kind of scam. Why would one of the richest men in the world invite a 13-year-old kid to tour his company just for helping him find a gate? And yet, the email address seems legitimate. The signature block includes direct contact information. Everything about it feels official. Marcus's finger hovers over the forward button, tempted to send it to his mother immediately. But something stops him. Lisa Johnson works harder than anyone he knows, sacrificing everything for his future. If this is a hoax, he doesn't want to get her hopes up only to be disappointed. He needs to verify this is real before telling her. With newfound determination, Marcus opens his laptop and begins researching Billionaire Fam. Within minutes, he confirms she is indeed Harrison Wells's executive assistant, having worked for him for over 15 years. Her professional profile includes the same email address and phone number listed in the message. Next, he searches for recent news about Harrison Wells. According to business publications, the billionaire has been in Chicago for a confidential meeting with researchers from Fermilab, the renowned particle physics laboratory. The timing matches perfectly with their airport encounter. The evidence points to one incredible conclusion: this is real. Before Marcus can process this fully, his phone rings. The screen displays an unknown number with a New York area code. With a deep breath, he answers. Hello, is this Marcus Johnson? A woman's crisp, professional voice asks. Yes, he replies, his own voice surprisingly steady. This is Billionaire Fam, Mr. Wells's assistant. I sent you an email earlier today. I'm calling to follow up and answer any questions you or your parent might have. Marcus swallows hard. Ms. Fam, can I ask, why me? Why would Mr. Wells invite me to tour his company? There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Billionaire speaks again, her tone has softened slightly. Mr. Wells rarely explains his decisions to anyone, Marcus, including me, but he was quite insistent about extending this invitation to you. He mentioned your conversation about coding and robotics. I believe he sees potential in you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll discuss it with your mother and have her call me. This opportunity is genuine, Marcus. Mr. Wells doesn't waste time on gestures without purpose. After promising to talk to his mother and ending the call, Marcus sits in stunned silence. The library has nearly emptied, the afternoon sunlight slanting through tall windows. Harrison Wells sees potential in him, a self-taught coder from the South Side. As Marcus walks home, the weight of this revelation settles over him. Now comes the hard part, convincing his practical, protective mother to let him accept an invitation from a billionaire stranger to fly across the country. What would you do if you were in Marcus's situation? Before we see how this incredible story unfolds, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing true stories. Let us know in the comments if you would have accepted this mysterious invitation. Lisa Johnson arrives home later than usual, her scrubs wrinkled from a 12-hour shift. She kicks off her shoes at the door, hanging her jacket on the hook with a weary sigh. "Marcus, I'm home, baby." He emerges from his bedroom, a strange, nervous energy radiating from him. "Hey, Mom, how was work?" "Busy. Mrs. Peterson had her baby healthy boy 8 pounds. She moves to the kitchen, pouring herself a glass of water. "You eat dinner?" "Yeah, had the leftovers." Marcus follows her, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "Mom, I need to tell you something." Lisa turns, immediately alert to the tension in his voice. "What is it? Everything okay at school?" "School's fine, it's something else." He takes a deep breath. "Remember when I went to the airport with Aunt Tanya yesterday? I helped an old man find his gate." Lisa nods slowly, setting down her water glass. "Okay. That man was Harrison Wells, the Harrison Wells from Wells Technologies." A slight frown creases Lisa's brow. "The billionaire? Marcus, what are you talking about?" Instead of explaining further, Marcus hands her his phone, the email from a leaner fam displayed on the screen. Lisa reads it, her expression transforming from confusion to disbelief. "This can't be real," she says, echoing his earlier thoughts. "It is, I checked. I even talked to his assistant on the phone." Marcus's words tumble out in a rush. "Mom, they want to fly us to New York, first class, to tour Wells Technologies this weekend." Lisa sinks into a kitchen chair, still clutching the phone. Why would he do this?" "The assistant said he sees potential in me. We talked about coding and robotics at the airport." Lisa's protective instincts surge to the surface. "Marcus, we don't know this man. I don't care how rich or famous he is. People with money and power, they don't just do things out of kindness. There's always an angle." "Maybe his angle is finding talented kids," Marcus suggests. "Wells Technologies has those innovation scholarships, remember, the ones that pay for college and guarantee jobs after graduation. So this is about college now. You're 13, Marcus. College is years away. But this could be my chance, our chance." He sits across from her, eyes pleading. "Mom, you always tell me to seize opportunities. This feels like a big one." Lisa studies her son's face, seeing the hope there, the excitement barely contained. She spent years nurturing his talents, encouraging his dreams while keeping him grounded in reality. The reality of their circumstances, modest means, limited connections, a system often stacked against young black men regardless of their brilliance. And now this, an impossible opportunity from an unlikely source. "Let me call this assistant," she says finally. "If I'm not satisfied with her answers, or if anything feels off, we're not going." "Understood." Marcus nods vigorously, relief washing over him. "Understood, totally understood." While Lisa makes the call, retreating to her bedroom for privacy, Marcus paces the small living room. Through the closed door, he hears fragments of conversation, his mother's voice alternating between skeptical questioning and surprised responses. 20 minutes later, she emerges, her expression unreadable. "Well?" Marcus asks, unable to contain himself. "Well," Lisa begins slowly, "it seems legitimate. Ms. Pham answered all my questions. They'll send a car to take us to the airport Friday after school. We'd return Sunday evening." She pauses, studying her son. "You really want to do this?" "More than anything," Marcus breathes. Lisa sighs, a smile finally breaking through her concern. "Then we're going to New York." Marcus whoops, throwing his arms around his mother. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." As they embrace, neither can possibly imagine how this decision will alter the trajectory of their lives. Neither knows that Harrison Wells has been searching for someone exactly like Marcus for reasons far more significant than a company tour. Neither suspects that within 72 hours, everything they understand about their world will change forever. The next 2 days pass in a whirlwind of anticipation. Marcus can barely focus in school, his mind constantly drifting to the upcoming trip. His teachers notice his distraction but attribute it to typical adolescent restlessness. Only Dion and Sophia know the truth, sworn to secrecy after Marcus couldn't contain the news any longer. "You think he'll let you test prototype tech?" Dion asks during lunch on Thursday. "Maybe they've got like holograms and stuff." "Or robots," Sophia adds. "I heard they've developed robots that can perform microsurgery better than human doctors." Marcus shrugs, trying to appear nonchalant despite his internal excitement. "Guess I'll find out tomorrow." At home, Lisa vacillates between enthusiasm and anxiety. She researches Harrison Wells extensively, reading articles about his business acumen, philanthropy, and reclusive personal life. Born to working-class parents in rural Pennsylvania, Wells built his technology empire from nothing, securing his first patent at 22 and founding Wells Technologies at 25. Now 73, he rarely appears in public, preferring to work behind the scenes while younger executives serve as the company's public face. Despite his wealth and power, Wells has no children, never having married after the death of his fiancée in a car accident 4 decades ago. His closest family is a niece who works in the company's legal department. What Lisa finds most intriguing are the Wells Innovation Scholarships, a program that identifies promising young minds from underprivileged backgrounds and provides them with education and mentorship. The program is notoriously selective, accepting only 5 students nationwide each year. And the application process is equally unusual. You can't apply. Wells Technologies finds you. Could this be what's happening with Marcus? Friday afternoon arrives at last. Marcus rushes home from school to find a sleek black car already waiting outside their apartment building. The driver, professional and courteous, helps them with their modest luggage. "Mr. Wells has arranged for you to stay at the Plaza Hotel," he informs them as they settle into the vehicle's plush leather seats. "Your flight departs in 3 hours. We'll have you at O'Hare with plenty of time to spare." Marcus and Lisa exchange wide-eyed glances. The Plaza, first-class flights. The reality of their situation begins to sink in. At the airport, they're escorted through a private security entrance, bypassing the lines Marcus had navigated just days earlier. The first-class lounge welcomes them with comfortable seating, complimentary food, and attentive staff who seem to know exactly who they are. "This is how the other half lives," Lisa murmurs, looking uncomfortable despite the luxury surrounding them. "The other 1%, you mean?" Marcus corrects, though he too feels out of place. When they board the plane, the difference between their current experience and their previous flying experiences, limited to 2 economy trips to visit Lisa's sister in Atlanta, becomes even more pronounced. Their seats recline into beds. The flight attendants address them by name. The meal served isn't recognizable as airplane food at all, but rather as a high-quality dinner that wouldn't be out of place in an upscale restaurant. As the plane takes off, Marcus stares out the window at Chicago growing smaller beneath them. Just 3 days ago, he was a regular kid helping a lost old man. Now he's flying first class to New York at the invitation of one of the world's richest men. "Mom," he whispers, "is this really happening?" Lisa squeezes his hand, her own disbelief evident in her eyes. "Apparently so, baby. Apparently so." Neither notices the flight attendant discreetly taking a photo of them with her phone, nor sees her step into the galley to send the image to a leaner fam with a simple message. They're on board. In New York, another car awaits them, whisking them through the crowded streets of Manhattan to the Plaza Hotel. Their suite, larger than their entire apartment, overlooks Central Park, its lush greenery a stark contrast to the urban landscape surrounding it. As they settle in, Lisa's phone rings. It's a leaner fam calling to confirm their arrival and outline the weekend's itinerary. "Mr. Wells would like to meet with you for breakfast tomorrow at 9 a.m., she explains. "A car will collect you at 8:30. The facility's tour will follow, and then Mr. Wells has requested a private lunch with Marcus, if that's acceptable to you, Ms. Johnson." Lisa hesitates, her protective instincts flaring. "I'd prefer to stay with my son." "Of course," Elena responds smoothly. However, Mr. Wells was hoping to discuss some technical matters that might interest Marcus. The conversation would take place in the company restaurant, with staff present at all times. "You would be just 1 floor away in the visitor center." After further reassurances, Lisa reluctantly agrees. They spend the evening exploring the hotel and its immediate surroundings, both too wired to sleep despite the late hour and their comfortable beds. As Marcus stands at the window of their suite, gazing out at the twinkling lights of New York City, a question forms in his mind, one that has been building since the email first arrived. "Mom," he says quietly, "why do you think he really brought us here?" Lisa joins him at the window, draping an arm around his shoulders. "I don't know, baby, but whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together, okay?" "Okay," Marcus agrees, leaning into his mother's embrace. Outside, the city that never sleeps continues its ceaseless rhythm, unaware that within one of its countless buildings, a life-changing encounter awaits. Saturday morning dawns bright and clear. Marcus wakes early, too excited to sleep. By the time Lisa emerges from her bedroom, he's showered, dressed in his best clothes, khaki pants, and a button-down shirt purchased specially for this trip, and is pacing the suite's living room. "Someone's eager," Lisa remarks, stifling a yawn. She's chosen a simple but elegant dress, professional without being formal. Breakfast arrives via room service, another luxury they've never experienced, and they eat quickly, both too nervous for much conversation. At precisely 8:30, the house phone rings, informing them their car is waiting. The Wells Technologies headquarters occupies a sleek glass tower in Midtown Manhattan. As their car approaches, Marcus presses his face against the window, taking in the distinctive architecture. The building seems to twist slightly as it rises, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun in a dazzling display. "It's even cooler than the pictures," he breathes. Inside, the lobby bustles with activity despite it being a weekend. Security is evident but unobtrusive, and they're greeted immediately by a leaner femme herself, a composed woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and intelligent eyes. "Ms. Johnson, Marcus, welcome to Wells Technologies. I trust your accommodations are satisfactory." "They're amazing," Marcus replies before his mother can formulate a more measured response. "Thank you for arranging everything." Eleanor's professional demeanor softens slightly. "You're very welcome." Mr. Wells is waiting in the executive dining room. "If you'll follow me." They're led through security checkpoints, where their visitor badges are scanned, and then into a private elevator that whisks them to the 65th floor. The doors open to reveal a space that more closely resembles an upscale restaurant than a corporate dining room. And there, at a table beside floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city, sits Harrison Wells. He rises as they approach, and Marcus is struck by the difference in the man's appearance. Gone is the rumpled suit and disoriented demeanor from the airport. This Harrison Wells stands tall and commanding, his silver hair neatly styled, his tailored suit impeccable. Only his eyes remain the same sharp, assessing with that peculiar spark Marcus had noticed before. "Ms. Johnson, Marcus, thank you for coming." His voice is stronger, too, carrying none of the frailty it had at O'Hare. He extends his hand first to Lisa, then to Marcus. "I hope your journey was comfortable." "Very," Lisa replies, her tone polite but reserved. "Though I must admit, Mr. Wells, I'm still curious about why we're here." Harrison gestures to the table. "Please sit, we have much to discuss." Breakfast is served by attentive staff, fresh fruit, pastries, eggs prepared to order. Harrison makes polite conversation, asking about their flight, their impressions of New York, Marcus's schooling. He listens intently to Marcus's descriptions of his robotics projects, occasionally asking surprisingly technical questions that reveal a deep understanding of the subject. Finally, as the meal winds down, Harrison turns to Lisa. "Ms. Johnson, I imagine you're wondering why I've brought you and your son across the country." "The thought has crossed my mind," she responds with a hint of dry humor. Harrison smiles, appreciating her directness. "The simple answer is that I believe Marcus has extraordinary potential. In our brief interaction at the airport, he displayed intelligence, resourcefulness, and most importantly, character." "With all due respect, Mr. Wells," Lisa says carefully, "a 15-minute encounter seems insufficient to make such assessments." "Perhaps for most people," Harrison concedes. "But I've spent decades evaluating talent, Ms. Johnson. I've learned to recognize exceptional minds quickly." He turns to Marcus. "Would you like to see what we're working on here?" Marcus, who has been unusually quiet during breakfast, nods eagerly. What follows is a tour unlike anything they could have imagined. Eleanor guides them through research labs where scientists work on everything from quantum computing to advanced materials. In one room, engineers demonstrate a prosthetic limb controlled by thought alone. In another, a holographic display shows a 3D model of a sustainable city powered entirely by renewable energy. Marcus absorbs everything with wide-eyed wonder, asking questions that increasingly impress the researchers they meet. Even Lisa finds herself drawn into the marvels on display, her skepticism temporarily overshadowed by the sheer innovation surrounding them. By lunchtime, Marcus is practically vibrating with excitement. When Alina reminds Lisa about the separate lunch Harrison had requested with Marcus, she hesitates again but ultimately agrees, reassured by the morning's positive experiences. "I'll be just one floor down," she tells Marcus, squeezing his shoulder. "Call me immediately if you need anything." As Alina leads Lisa away, Harrison guides Marcus to a different elevator, one requiring a biometric scan for access. "Where are we going?" Marcus asks, curiosity overcoming his usual reserve. "Somewhere few people ever see," Harrison replies cryptically as the elevator begins its descent. "The heart of Wells Technologies." Before we find out what's waiting for Marcus beneath Wells Technologies, let us know in the comments. What do you think Harrison Wells really wants with this 13-year-old boy from Chicago? Your guess might be closer than you think. The elevator descends far below street level, its digital display showing negative numbers that continue to grow. When it finally stops at -25, the doors open to reveal a vast underground space unlike anything Marcus could have imagined. It's a laboratory, but like no laboratory he's ever seen. The cavernous room stretches for what must be a city block, filled with equipment so advanced it borders on science fiction. Robotic arms move with fluid precision along assembly lines. Holographic displays float in midair, showing complex calculations and schematics. In the center, a massive circular structure pulses with blue-white energy. "Welcome," Harrison says, noting Marcus's awestruck expression, "to Project Legacy." "What is all this?" Marcus whispers, his voice barely audible over the hum of machinery. "The future," Harrison replies simply, "or at least one possible version of it." He guides Marcus forward, past workstations where engineers barely look up from their tasks. Everything you saw upstairs, the prosthetics, the sustainable energy solutions, the quantum computers, they're all products of research that began here. They approach the circular structure, and Marcus feels a strange, tingling sensation, like static electricity raising the hair on his arms. "This," Harrison continues, gesturing to the glowing apparatus, "is what I've spent the last 30 years of my life creating. A breakthrough in quantum field manipulation that could revolutionize how we understand reality itself." Marcus stares at the pulsing energy, transfixed. "What does it do?" "Many things. It can generate clean energy. It can process information faster than any computer ever built, and theoretically it could even allow for the transfer of consciousness." "Transfer of consciousness," Marcus repeats, unsure he's heard correctly. Harrison's expression grows more serious. "Marcus, what I'm about to tell you must remain between us for now. Can I trust you with that?" Nodding slowly, Marcus feels the weight of the moment. Whatever this is, it's bigger than a simple tour or recruitment opportunity. Harrison leads him to a quieter area of the lab, a glass-walled office with a clear view of the central apparatus. Once inside, he gestures for Marcus to sit. "I'm dying, Marcus." The blunt statement hangs in the air between them. Marcus blinks, unsure how to respond. "Pancreatic cancer," Harrison continues matter-of-factly. "Terminal. The doctors give me 6 months, perhaps less." "I'm sorry," Marcus says, the words feeling woefully inadequate. Harrison waves away the sympathy. "I've lived a full life, built something meaningful. My concern isn't for myself, but for what happens to all this." He gestures toward the laboratory beyond the glass. "When I'm gone. Don't you have, like, a board of directors or something?" A wry smile crosses Harrison's face. "I do, and they're excellent at running a business. But this requires something more: vision, integrity, a mind unbound by conventional thinking." His gaze sharpens. "A mind like yours, Marcus." Confusion washes over Marcus. "Mr. Wells, I'm 13. I don't understand what you're saying." "I'm offering you an opportunity, Marcus, not just a scholarship or a future job, though those are certainly part of it. I'm offering you the chance to be part of something world-changing." Harrison leans forward. "The Wells Innovation Scholarship would provide for your education through any university you choose. It would guarantee you a position at Wells Technologies afterward. And it would include special mentorship from me personally for as long as I'm able, and then from a team I've selected." Marcus's mind reels. A full scholarship, a guaranteed job at one of the most innovative companies in the world, personal mentorship from Harrison Wells himself. It's beyond anything he could have dreamed. "Why me?" he asks again, the question that has haunted him since receiving the email. "There must be thousands of kids smarter than me." "Intelligence is common, Marcus. Brilliance even isn't as rare as people think." Harrison's voice grows quiet, intense. "But integrity, the kind you showed at the airport when you refused my money, when you helped me without expectation of reward, that's precious. And when combined with a mind like yours." He trails off, letting the implication hang in the air. Before Marcus can respond, a sharp pain crosses Harrison's face. He grimaces, reaching quickly for a pill bottle in his pocket. With trembling hands, he swallows a tablet dry. "Are you okay?" Marcus asks, alarmed. "Just a reminder of our limited time," Harrison replies after a moment, his composure returning. "The cancer makes itself known occasionally." The reality of the situation crashes over Marcus. This isn't just about an opportunity for him, it's about a dying man's legacy. "What about my mom?" he asks, his practical side asserting itself despite the overwhelming circumstances. "I can't just leave her." "Of course not. The scholarship includes a stipend for your family. Your mother could reduce her working hours or even return to school herself if she wished." Harrison studies him carefully. "I'm not asking you to decide this minute, Marcus. This weekend is merely an introduction. You and your mother should discuss it thoroughly." Marcus nods, his mind still struggling to process everything. "Can I ask you something, Mr. Wells?" "Anything." "At the airport, you weren't really lost, were you? You didn't really need help finding your gate." A slow smile spreads across Harrison's face, not the polite, professional one he's worn most of the day, but something more genuine, almost mischievous. "Very perceptive, Marcus. No, I didn't need help finding my gate." I've been traveling through O'Hare for 50 years. He pauses, considering his next words carefully. Let's just say I wanted to see how you'd respond to someone in need. A small test, if you will. A test I didn't know I was taking, Marcus observes, a hint of challenge in his voice. The best kind, Harrison replies unapologetically. If you'd known, it wouldn't have revealed your true character. Before Marcus can respond, his phone buzzes with a text from his mother asking if everything is okay. The message grounds him, pulling him back from the edge of this surreal conversation. I should get back to my mom, he says, rising from his chair. Harrison nods, standing as well. Of course, Eleanor will escort you back upstairs. He extends his hand. Think about what I've said, Marcus. This opportunity comes with no obligations. If you decide it's not for you, you return to your life in Chicago, no harm done. But if you accept... He leaves the sentence unfinished, the possibilities limitless. As Marcus shakes the billionaire's hand, he can't help but feel that his life has already changed irrevocably, regardless of what he decides. When Marcus rejoins his mother in the visitor center, he finds her engaged in conversation with Eleanor Pham. Both women turn as he approaches, Lisa's eyes immediately searching his face for signs of how the private lunch went. Everything okay? She asks, a wealth of meaning in the simple question. Yeah, Marcus replies, his mind still processing everything Harrison revealed. It was interesting. Eleanor checks her watch. We have a few more departments scheduled for your tour this afternoon, but perhaps you'd like a moment to regroup first? Lisa nods gratefully. That would be nice, thank you. Once they're alone in a comfortable waiting area, Lisa turns to Marcus expectantly. Spill it. What happened down there? Marcus hesitates, remembering Harrison's request for confidentiality. But this is his mother, his rock, his constant supporter, the person he trusts most in the world. If he can't tell her, who can he tell? He offered me a scholarship. He begins, deciding to share the tangible opportunity while keeping Harrison's illness and the mysterious quantum apparatus private for now. The Wells Innovation Scholarship, full ride to any college I want, plus a guaranteed job here after graduation. Lisa's eyes widen. Marcus, that's incredible, but why? Why you? Says he saw something in me at the airport, integrity, he called it. Marcus shrugs, still uncomfortable with the praise. He wants to mentor me personally. Mentor you? Lisa repeats, her tone skeptical. He's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, and you're just a kid from the South Side, Marcus finishes, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his voice. I know. Lisa softens immediately, reaching for his hand. That's not what I meant, baby. You're brilliant, always have been. She struggles to find the right words. It seems too good to be true. The rest of the afternoon passes in a blur of technological wonders. They tour the robotics division, the artificial intelligence lab, the renewable energy department. In each, Marcus's questions grow increasingly sophisticated, drawing impressed looks from the engineers and scientists they meet. By the time they return to their hotel that evening, both Marcus and Lisa are mentally exhausted, overwhelmed by the day's revelations and experiences. Room service, Lisa suggests as they collapse onto the suite's plush sofa. Definitely, Marcus agrees, kicking off his shoes. Over dinner served on a white-clothed table rolled into their suite by an attentive waiter, they finally discuss the scholarship offer in depth. It would change everything, Lisa says, pushing her salmon around her plate. Your entire future. Our future, Marcus corrects. Mr. Wells said there's a stipend for you too. You could cut back on hours, maybe even go back to school yourself, finish that master's degree you've always talked about. Lisa's fork pauses midway to her mouth. He said that, Marcus nods. He thought of everything. It seems he did, Lisa murmurs, her expression thoughtful. After a moment, she sets down her fork. Marcus, I need you to be honest with me. Is this what you want? Not just the scholarship or the opportunity, but this path? This world? She gestures vaguely, encompassing the luxury suite, the high-tech company, the entire experience they've been thrust into. Marcus considers the question seriously. Is this what he wants? The advanced technology had fascinated him, certainly. The prospect of learning from some of the brightest minds in the world is undeniably exciting. And the financial security for both him and his mother would eliminate the constant stress that has been their companion for as long as he can remember. But there's something else too, something in Harrison's eyes when he spoke of his terminal diagnosis, when he described the need for someone with integrity to carry forward his vision. A responsibility Marcus isn't sure he's ready for. I don't know, he admits finally. It's a lot to process. Lisa nods, understanding in her eyes. We don't have to decide tonight. Mr. Wells said we have time, right? Right, Marcus confirms, relieved to postpone the decision. Later, as Marcus lies in bed staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, his phone buzzes with a text message. It's from an unknown number. Marcus, this is Harrison. I apologize for the unorthodox communication, but I wanted to speak with you once more before you return to Chicago. Would you meet me for breakfast tomorrow? Just us. Alina will arrange transportation if you agree. This isn't about pressuring you for a decision. There's simply something else I need to show you. Marcus stares at the message, wondering how Harrison got his personal number. Then again, the man is a billionaire with resources few can imagine. Such details would be trivial for him to obtain. Should he go? Should he tell his mother? The secrecy feels wrong, yet something in Harrison's message suggests urgency, importance. After a long internal debate, Marcus types a reply. What time? The response comes immediately. 7 a.m. before your scheduled departure. The car will wait outside the hotel. Your mother will receive a separate invitation to brunch with Alina to discuss educational opportunities. Marcus hesitates, his finger hovering over the screen. Finally, he types, okay. Whatever Harrison Wells wants to show him, whatever this is really about, Marcus knows tomorrow will bring answers, and perhaps even more questions. The next morning dawns gray and drizzly, the kind of soft rain that seems fitting for secrets and revelations. Marcus wakes early, dresses quietly, and leaves a note for his still sleeping mother. Gone for breakfast with Mr. Wells, back by 10, love you. The black car is waiting as promised. Instead of returning to the Wells Technologies building, however, it takes Marcus to Central Park. There, beneath a large umbrella held by a silent driver, Harrison Wells waits on a bench near the lake, feeding crumbs to gathering pigeons. Marcus, he greets, his voice warm despite the chill in the air. Thank you for coming. You said you had something else to show me, Marcus replies, accepting the umbrella as the driver discreetly retreats to the car. I do. Harrison pats the bench beside him. But first, tell me what you're thinking about yesterday's offer. Marcus sits, watching the rain create ripples on the lake's surface. It's amazing, life-changing, but you're wondering why I really chose you, Harrison finishes for him. Yeah. Harrison tosses the last of his bread crumbs to the pigeons before turning to face Marcus fully. What I'm about to tell you will sound implausible, perhaps even crazy. I ask only that you listen completely before making judgments. Something in the old man's tone sends a shiver down Marcus's spine, not fear exactly, but a premonition of significance. He nods slowly. I've lived this day before, Harrison begins, his gaze distant. Not just this day, this life, many times. Marcus stares, uncomprehending. What do you mean? The quantum apparatus you saw yesterday, it doesn't just transfer consciousness in the theoretical sense. It transfers consciousness across time, across realities. Harrison's voice remains steady, matter-of-fact, as if discussing the weather rather than concepts that defy understanding. I've used it 7 times now. A stunned silence stretches between them, broken only by the patter of rain on the umbrella and the occasional call of a passing bird. You're saying, Marcus begins cautiously, you're saying you've traveled through time? Not physically. My consciousness, my memories, my knowledge, everything that makes me who I am has been transferred back to my younger self. The first time I was 62 when I made the transfer, returning to my 30-year-old body with all my memories intact. That gave me another lifetime to prepare, to build, to search. Search for what? Harrison's eyes focus sharply on Marcus. For you. The simple answer hangs between them, its implications too vast to immediately comprehend. That's impossible, Marcus whispers. Is it? Harrison challenges gently. The universe is stranger than most people imagine, Marcus. Quantum mechanics has proven that reality isn't the solid, predictable thing we perceive. At its fundamental level, existence is probability, potential possibility. But why? Why would you? Marcus struggles to even formulate the question. The first time I lived my life, I built Wells Technologies into a successful company. But in my pursuit of innovation, of profit, I made catastrophic mistakes. Technologies developed without proper safeguards. Artificial intelligence without ethical constraints. Harrison's voice grows heavy with remembered regret. The consequences were devastating. Global systems collapse. Millions of lives lost. Marcus listens, torn between disbelief and the undeniable sincerity in Harrison's voice. When I realized what I'd done, what I'd set in motion, I poured all my remaining resources into developing a way to undo it. The quantum consciousness transfer was my answer, a chance to live again, to make different choices. And did you make different choices? Harrison nods. The second time I was more careful. I built safeguards into our AI systems, but new problems emerged, ones I hadn't anticipated, so I transferred again and again, each time learning, each time trying to create a better outcome. This is your 7th life? Marcus asks, struggling to wrap his mind around the concept. Yes. And in this iteration, I finally understood what was missing in all my previous attempts. Harrison's gaze intensifies. It wasn't just about better technology or stricter ethical guidelines. It was about the right person guiding the development of these world-changing innovations, someone with both the intellectual capacity to understand the technology and the moral compass to use it wisely. And you think that's me? Marcus can't keep the incredulity from his voice. I know it is. Harrison's certainty is unwavering. In my fourth life, I created the Wells Innovation Scholarship Program specifically to search for candidates. I've evaluated thousands of brilliant young minds over multiple lifetimes, Marcus. None have had your particular combination of qualities. But you just met me 3 days ago. In this timeline, yes. Harrison smiles faintly. But I've been refining my search parameters for over 300 years of subjective experience. The airport wasn't our first meeting. It was the culmination of decades of research, narrowing down potential candidates until all signs pointed to a 13-year-old boy from Chicago's South Side. Marcus stands abruptly, the umbrella tilting and allowing rain to splatter against his shoulder. This is crazy. You're saying you've lived multiple lives, hundreds of years, all to find me? To what? Make me your successor, your project manager. What? Harrison remains seated, unfazed by Marcus's outburst. To make you my heir in every sense of the word, not just to my company or my fortune, but to my knowledge, my purpose. He taps his temple. Everything I am. The implication slowly dawns on Marcus. The consciousness transfer, you want to put your mind in my body. No, Harrison corrects firmly. Nothing so crude or invasive. The technology allows for knowledge transfer without overwriting the recipient's identity. You would remain yourself, Marcus, with all your memories, your personality, your essence intact. You would simply also have access to my lifetime of experience and knowledge. A merger of minds, if you will, with you in control. Marcus sinks back onto the bench, his legs suddenly unsteady. Why are you telling me this? Why now? Because time is running short, not just my personal time with this illness, but the world's time. The technological singularity approaches faster in each iteration. AI systems grow more sophisticated. The window for establishing proper safeguards narrows. Harrison's voice takes on an urgency that cuts through Marcus's disbelief. And because you deserve to know the full truth before making your decision, I won't deceive you even by omission. Does my mom know any of this? Harrison shakes his head. Not yet. That would be your choice whether to tell her, how much to reveal. The burden of this knowledge is significant. Rain continues to fall around them, the park largely empty in the early morning drizzle. In the distance, the towering buildings of Manhattan rise into low clouds, symbols of human achievement and ambition. I don't believe you, Marcus says finally. I can't, it's too fantastic, implausible. Harrison reaches into his pocket and withdraws a small device no larger than a key fob. Perhaps a demonstration would help. Before Marcus can ask what he means, Harrison presses a button on the device. Instantly, the rain stops, not gradually, but as if someone has flipped a switch. The droplets hang suspended in midair, frozen in time. Marcus gapes, his hand reaching out hesitantly to touch a suspended raindrop. It remains perfectly still, solid as glass. Localized quantum field manipulation, Harrison explains calmly. A miniaturized version of the technology you saw yesterday. Time within our immediate vicinity has been temporarily paused. Marcus pulls his hand back as if burned. That's impossible. So you keep saying, Harrison replies with gentle amusement, and yet here we are. He presses the button again and the rain resumes its descent as if nothing had happened. A jogger passes in the distance, completely unaware of the momentary suspension of physical laws. That could be a trick, Marcus says, though his voice lacks conviction. Special effects or something. It could be, Harrison acknowledges, but it isn't. He pockets the device. I don't expect you to believe everything immediately, Marcus. That would be unreasonable. All I ask is that you consider the possibility that what I'm telling you is true and that you keep an open mind as you learn more. Marcus nods slowly, his reality thoroughly shaken. What happens now? Now you return to Chicago with your mother. You think about what I've shown you, what I've told you. Billionaire will arrange for you to visit Wells Technologies again in 2 weeks. This time with full access to our quantum research division, where you can verify everything I've said. And if I say no, if I want nothing to do with any of this, Harrison's expression grows solemn. Then I respect your decision. The scholarship offer stands regardless. Your education will be fully funded, and a position at Wells Technologies will await you after graduation. I won't force this responsibility on you, Marcus. It must be freely chosen to have meaning. The old man rises from the bench, signaling an end to their extraordinary conversation. The car will take you back to your hotel now. Your mother is likely awake and wondering where you are. As if on cue, Marcus's phone buzzes with a text from Lisa. Where are you? Just got an invitation to brunch with a leaner fam. What's going on? One last thing, Harrison says as Marcus reads the message. Whatever you decide, remember this. You were chosen not because of what you might become, but because of who you already are. That 13-year-old boy who helped a stranger at an airport without expectation of reward, he's already the person the world needs. With that, Harrison turns and walks away, his figure soon lost in the misty park landscape. Marcus remains on the bench, the umbrella tilted forgotten against his shoulder, rain beginning to soak through his jacket. His world has been upended, his understanding of reality challenged at its core. And somehow, despite the fantastical nature of Harrison's claims, a part of him, a deep, intuitive part, believes. Before you see how this incredible story concludes, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Hit that subscribe button now to never miss another extraordinary true story like this one. The journey back to Chicago is quiet. Lisa, sensing something profound has shifted in her son, gives him space, asking few questions about his breakfast with Harrison. For his part, Marcus is grateful for the silence, his mind still reeling from the morning's revelations. A leaner fam had been similarly circumspect during her brunch with Lisa, focusing on practical matters, the details of the scholarship, the educational opportunities, the timeline for decision-making. She had emphasized repeatedly that there was no pressure, no deadline beyond what would be reasonable for academic planning. Mr. Wells believes in allowing people to make fully informed choices in their own time, she had told Lisa, especially when those choices involve a child's future. Now, as their plane begins its descent into O'Hare, Marcus gazes out at the familiar Chicago skyline. Just 3 days ago, he was a normal kid with normal concerns, school, friends, his robotics projects. Now he carries knowledge that, if true, changes everything about how he understands the world. Time travel, quantum consciousness transfer, multiple timelines, a technological singularity threatening humanity's future, and somehow he, Marcus Johnson from the South Side, stands at the center of it all. "You okay, baby?" Lisa asks, noting his pensive expression. "Yeah," he replies automatically, then reconsiders. "Actually, I don't know, it's a lot to process." Lisa squeezes his hand. "One's rushing you to decide anything. We're going to take our time, think this through carefully." If only she knew what this really entailed, Marcus thinks. But how could he possibly explain? How could anyone believe such an extraordinary story without proof? 2 weeks, Harrison had said. 2 weeks until he could see evidence that might validate the billionaire's incredible claims. As they exit the plane, Marcus is struck by the strange dichotomy of returning to their normal life carrying such abnormal knowledge. The airport corridors look the same, the crowds move with the same hurried purposefulness, the announcements echo with the same monotonous clarity. Yet everything has changed. Their apartment feels smaller somehow when they return, the familiar rooms constraining after the expansive luxury of the plaza. Marcus immediately retreats to his bedroom, claiming fatigue from the trip, though in reality he needs time alone with his thoughts. Lying on his bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars he'd placed on his ceiling years ago, Marcus replays his conversation with Harrison in the park. The suspended raindrops, the certainty in the old man's voice, the weight of responsibility being offered. His phone buzzes with texts from Dion and Sophia, eager for details about his New York adventure. He responds with vague assurances that it was cool, and promises to tell them more at school tomorrow, knowing he'll share only the superficial aspects: the hotel, the headquarters tour, the scholarship offer. The rest remains his secret to carry. Monday morning arrives with the jarring normalcy of his alarm clock and his mother's call from the kitchen about breakfast. Marcus moves through his morning routine mechanically, his mind elsewhere. At school, he deflects his friend's curiosity with carefully edited highlights of the trip, emphasizing the technological marvels he'd seen while omitting any mention of Harrison's true purpose or the quantum apparatus beneath the building. "So are you taking it?" Dion asks as they settle into their usual lunch table. "The scholarship?" "I don't know yet," Marcus replies honestly. "It's a big decision." "Big decision?" Sophia repeats incredulously. "It's a full ride to any college plus a guaranteed job at Wells Technologies. What's to decide?" What indeed, Marcus thinks. If only it were that simple. The days pass with excruciating slowness. Marcus goes through the motions of his normal routine classes, homework, chores, while his mind continually returns to Harrison's revelations. He researches quantum physics in his spare time, trying to understand the theoretical foundations of what he'd been told. But the cutting-edge concepts remain just beyond his grasp, despite his natural aptitude for science. At night, he dreams of suspended raindrops and multiple timelines, of responsibilities too vast for his 13-year-old shoulders. 1 week after their return from New York, a package arrives addressed to Marcus. Inside, he finds a sleek tablet unlike any commercially available model. When he powers it on, a message appears. For your research, security protocols are enabled, only you can access the content. HW, the tablet contains hundreds of scientific papers, many unpublished, detailing the theoretical framework and experimental results of Wells Technologies' quantum research. There are videos of experiments, technical specifications of the apparatus Marcus had seen, and detailed explanations of quantum consciousness transfer written in surprisingly accessible language. Marcus devours the information, staying up late into the night, his mind expanding to accommodate concepts that would challenge the most brilliant adult physicists. He begins to understand not just the how of Harrison's claims, but the why, the existential risks posed by unchecked technological advancement, the narrow window for establishing safeguards before artificial intelligence reaches levels beyond human control. And slowly, inevitably, belief takes root. The night before they're scheduled to return to New York, Marcus finally approaches his mother. She sits at the kitchen table, reviewing patient charts on her tablet, a cup of tea growing cold beside her. "Mom," he begins hesitantly, "there's something I need to tell you about Mr. Wells, about why he really chose me." Lisa looks up, setting aside her work with a wariness that suggests she's been expecting this conversation. "I'm listening." Marcus takes a deep breath. How does one begin to explain the impossible? "Mr. Wells showed me something in New York, something unbelievable." He pauses, weighing his words carefully. He has technology that's far beyond what they showed us on the tour, technology that can manipulate time, transfer consciousness between bodies. Lisa's expression shifts from attentive to concerned. "Marcus, what are you talking about?" He says he's lived multiple lives, Mom. That he's used this technology to transfer his consciousness back in time, to try to prevent some kind of global catastrophe. The words sound absurd even as he speaks them, but Marcus presses on. He's been searching for someone to continue his work to help ensure the safe development of artificial intelligence, and he's chosen me. A long silence follows his explanation. Lisa's face cycles through emotions: confusion, disbelief, worry. "Marcus," she says finally, her voice gentle but firm, "that's not possible. Mr. Wells may be brilliant, wealthy, powerful, but he's not a time traveler. No one is." "I know how it sounds," Marcus acknowledges. "I didn't believe it either, but he showed me." He trails off, realizing how inadequate words are to describe the suspended raindrops, the feeling of touching time itself. Lisa reaches across the table, taking his hand. "Honey, sometimes very intelligent, successful people develop unusual beliefs. It doesn't mean they're bad people or that they're trying to deceive others. They might even believe these things themselves." "You think he's delusional," Marcus says flatly. "I think he's an elderly man facing his mortality," Lisa replies carefully. "People sometimes develop elaborate narratives when confronting death. It can be a form of coping." Marcus withdraws his hand, frustration building. He'd known this would be her reaction. Any rational person would respond the same way. Without proof, without experiencing what he'd experienced, how could she possibly believe? "Tomorrow, when we go back to New York, he's going to show me evidence," Marcus says. "Real, scientific evidence. Will you at least keep an open mind until then?" Lisa studies her son's face, noting the earnestness there, the conviction. "Of course I will, but Marcus, I want you to be careful. Don't let your excitement about this opportunity cloud your judgment." "I won't," he promises, though he knows it's already too late for such cautions. His judgment isn't clouded, it's been fundamentally altered by glimpsing realities beyond ordinary understanding. The second trip to New York feels different from the first. The luxury first-class flights, the Plaza Hotel no longer dazzles them. Instead, there's a sense of purpose, of significance underlying the journey. This time, they're taken directly to Wells Technologies' headquarters upon arrival. Billionaire fam greets them in the lobby, her professional demeanor softened by a genuine smile. "Mr. Wells is waiting for you in the research division," she informs them. "Both of you?" she adds, nodding to Lisa. The elevator they board requires no biometric scan this time, but it descends to the same sublevel Marcus had visited before. When the doors open, Harrison Wells stands waiting, his posture more stooped than Marcus remembers, his face paler, evidence of his advancing illness. Ms. Johnson, Marcus, thank you for returning. He greets them, his voice strong despite his physical deterioration. Today I hope to provide answers to questions you undoubtedly have. Lisa steps forward, maternal protectiveness evident in her stance. Mr. Wells, with all due respect, Marcus has shared some concerning claims that he attributes to you. Before we proceed, I need to understand exactly what you've been telling my son. Harrison nods, unsurprised. Of course. Marcus was right to share our conversation with you, and you're right to seek clarification. He gestures toward the laboratory beyond. If you'll allow me, I'd prefer to show rather than tell. Seeing is believing after all. What follows is a carefully orchestrated demonstration of technologies so advanced they appear magical. Harrison's team of scientists, all bound by stringent confidentiality agreements, show Lisa and Marcus the quantum apparatus in action. They demonstrate localized time manipulation, slowing and accelerating the passage of time within contained fields. They show holographic recordings of consciousness transfer experiments conducted with animal subjects, rats that display the learned behaviors and memories of other rats after the procedure. Throughout, Harrison explains the science in terms accessible to both Marcus, with his growing technical understanding, and Lisa, with her medical background. He connects the quantum phenomena to established scientific principles, building a bridge from the known to the seemingly impossible. The fundamental laws of physics don't prohibit what we're doing, he explains as they observe a demonstration of entangled particles communicating instantaneously across distance. They simply haven't been fully understood until now. Lisa watches with growing amazement, her initial skepticism gradually giving way to reluctant belief. The evidence before her eyes cannot be dismissed as delusion or deception. This is real science, however revolutionary. Finally, Harrison leads them to a private conference room adjacent to the laboratory. Once seated, he addresses Lisa directly. Ms. Johnson, I understand your concerns. As a mother, your priority is protecting Marcus. As a medical professional, your training demands empirical evidence before acceptance. His tone is respectful, acknowledging the validity of her perspective. I hope what you've seen today provides some of that evidence. Lisa's response is measured, thoughtful. What you've shown us is extraordinary, revolutionary, but it's a long way from proving you've lived multiple lives or transferred your consciousness through time. Fair enough, Harrison concedes. That particular claim remains beyond direct demonstration. I can't prove to you that I've experienced these multiple timelines any more than I could prove to you what I dreamed last night. He pauses, considering his next words carefully. But consider this, the technology you've just witnessed, technology that defies conventional understanding of physics, exists because I've had multiple lifetimes to develop it. Knowledge accumulated across iterations, building upon itself. Or, Lisa counters, you're simply a genius who's made remarkable breakthroughs in quantum physics. Harrison smiles faintly. A simpler explanation, certainly. And perhaps for now a more comfortable one to accept. He turns to Marcus. What do you think, having seen more evidence, having studied the materials I sent you? All eyes turn to Marcus, who has been unusually quiet during the demonstrations, absorbing the technical details with intense focus. I believe you, he says simply. I don't understand everything yet, but I believe what you're saying is true. Harrison nods, something like relief crossing his features. Thank you, Marcus. That means more than you know. Lisa starts to object, protective instincts flaring, but Marcus raises a hand, a surprisingly adult gesture that gives her pause. Mom, I know it sounds crazy, I know it's hard to accept, but everything he's shown us today supports what he told me in the park. The quantum field manipulation, the consciousness transfer techniques, it all fits. His voice grows passionate, his inherent intelligence shining through. And more importantly, the purpose makes sense. The dangers he's warning about runaway AI, technological development without ethical constraints, these are real concerns that scientists and philosophers have been discussing for years. Lisa studies her son, seeing him perhaps for the first time not just as her child, but as a person with his own capacity for judgment, for insight. And you believe he wants you to, what? Continue his work. To guide it, Marcus corrects. To make sure it develops safely, ethically, with integrity. He's 13, Lisa says to Harrison, a hint of anger entering her voice despite the wonders she's witnessed. Whatever your intentions, however noble your goals, he's a child. He is, Harrison acknowledges without hesitation. And I'm not suggesting any consciousness transfer or extraordinary responsibility now. Marcus has years of education ahead, years of normal development and growth. The scholarship, the mentorship, these are preparations for a future role, not immediate burdens. And what exactly would this future role entail? Lisa presses. Harrison considers his response carefully. Initially, leadership of a specialized research division within Wells Technologies focused on ethical AI development and quantum information systems. Eventually, if Marcus chooses, a larger role in guiding the company's overall technological direction. He pauses, his gaze steady. But that's merely the formal position. True role is more subtle, being a voice of conscience in rooms where decisions affecting millions of lives are made, ensuring that technological power remains harnessed for human benefit rather than human control. Lisa absorbs this, her expression thoughtful. And the consciousness transfer, what Marcus mentioned about you transferring your knowledge to him. A possibility, not a certainty, Harrison clarifies, and one that would only be considered with full informed consent when Marcus reaches adulthood. It would be his decision entirely, and yours as his mother to support or oppose. A heavy silence falls over the room as Lisa weighs everything she's heard, everything she's seen. Her world, like Marcus's before her, has been fundamentally altered today. Paradigms shifted, possibilities expanded. I need time, she says finally. We need time to think, to discuss, to process all of this. Of course, Harrison agrees readily. Take all the time you need. The opportunity remains open. He rises from his chair, moving with visible effort. In the meantime, the scholarship offer stands independent of any other considerations. Marcus's education will be fully funded regardless of what role he ultimately chooses. As they prepare to leave, Harrison asks for a moment alone with Marcus. Lisa hesitates but ultimately steps outside with Alina, leaving them in the conference room. You've studied the materials I sent, Harrison says once they're alone. You have questions. Hundreds, Marcus admits. But one keeps coming back. Why me? Even with everything you've explained about searching across multiple lifetimes, testing candidates, why me specifically? Harrison's expression softens. Because in every simulation, every projection, every timeline where I identified a candidate with your particular qualities, the outcomes improved dramatically. It's not just your intelligence, Marcus, though that's considerable. It's not just your integrity, though that's rare. It's the combination and something else, something harder to quantify. What? Perspective, Harrison says simply. You see the world differently than I do, than most do. Your experience is growing up in the South Side, being raised by a single mother who works in healthcare, navigating systems that weren't designed with you in mind. They've given you insights I could never have, regardless of how many lifetimes I live. He leans forward, his intensity palpable. Future of technology cannot be guided solely by people like me, Marcus. Old, white, privileged, removed from the everyday realities most humans face. The safeguards we create, the ethical frameworks we establish, they must account for all humanity, not just those who traditionally hold power. Marcus absorbs this, feeling the weight of Harrison's words, the truth in them. So I'm not just a candidate, I'm a correction. Precisely, Harrison confirms, approval warming his voice. A necessary one. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments as we reach the turning point of this extraordinary story. The weeks following their second New York visit pass in a blur of discussion, research, and soul-searching. Lisa and Marcus talk for hours each evening, weighing the opportunity, the responsibility, the sheer improbability of their situation. Lisa contacts colleagues in neuroscience and physics, asking hypothetical questions about consciousness transfer and quantum mechanics without revealing the true context. The answers she receives, while cautious, suggest that what Harrison proposes isn't theoretically impossible, merely far beyond current scientific consensus. Marcus continues studying the materials Harrison provided, his understanding deepening with each passing day. He finds himself dreaming in equations, thinking in quantum probabilities, imagining futures shaped by the decisions being contemplated now. Throughout this period, Harrison maintains a respectful distance, checking in occasionally through Alina but never pressuring them for a decision. His health, however, continues to decline, a fact that becomes apparent when video calls replace in-person conversations, the billionaire now too weak for frequent travel. The cancer is accelerating, he admits during one such call, his face gaunt on the screen. The doctors give me weeks now, not months. This news adds urgency to their deliberations, though Harrison insists they shouldn't rush. The infrastructure is in place, he assures them. The research will continue. You have time to decide your level of involvement. 3 months after their initial meeting at O'Hare Airport, Marcus and Lisa reach a decision. They fly to New York one more time, though not to the plaza. Harrison has been moved to his private residence, a penthouse overlooking Central Park where medical equipment now shares space with elegant furniture. They find him propped up in a hospital bed that's been disguised as much as possible to resemble a normal bedroom setting. Despite his physical deterioration, his eyes remain sharp, his mind clearly undiminished. "Thank you for coming," he greets them, his voice weaker but still commanding. "Have you reached a decision?" Lisa steps forward, her hand on Marcus's shoulder. "We have. After much consideration, we've decided to accept the scholarship and the mentorship program." Relief washes over Harrison's features. "And the rest, the larger purpose. We're open to it," Lisa continues carefully. "Marcus will learn about the technology, work with your research team, prepare himself academically. When he's an adult, he'll decide for himself about any consciousness transfer or leadership role within the company." Harrison nods, accepting these terms. "A wise approach, deliberate, measured." His gaze shifts to Marcus. "And you? Are you at peace with this path?" Marcus meets the dying man's eyes steadily. "I am. I still have questions, still have doubts sometimes, but I believe in what you're trying to do and why it matters." "Good," Harrison whispers, his energy clearly waning. "That's good." Billionaire, who has been standing quietly by the door, steps forward. "Perhaps we should let Mr. Wells rest now. We can discuss the practical arrangements downstairs." Lisa nods, preparing to leave, but Marcus hesitates. "Can I have a moment alone with him first?" After a brief pause, Lisa agrees, following Billionaire from the room. Once they're alone, Marcus moves closer to Harrison's bedside. "There's something I need to ask you," he says quietly. "Something important." Harrison waits, his breathing labored but his attention undivided. "In these other timelines, these other lives you've lived, was there always a Marcus Johnson? Did you always find me?" A complex emotion crosses Harrison's face, something between sadness and fondness. "No, Marcus, you weren't always there. In some timelines, your mother made different choices. In some, circumstances prevented your paths from crossing mine. In others—" He pauses, considering how much to reveal. "In others, you existed but faced challenges that shaped you differently. So I'm not predestined for this. It's not some fixed point in time." "Nothing is fixed," Harrison confirms. "Every choice matters. Every path is created through decisions, through action or inaction." His hand, thin and papery now, reaches for Marcus's. "Which makes your choice to accept this responsibility all the more meaningful. It's not fate, it's free will." Marcus nods, something settling within him. The answer confirms what he'd hoped, that he isn't merely fulfilling some cosmic role assigned to him, but actively choosing a path that matters. "One more thing," he says. "If the consciousness transfer works, if someday I carry your knowledge, your memories, will I still be me? Will I still be Marcus Johnson?" Harrison's grip tightens slightly on his hand. "That is the most important question of all, and the answer is yes. Emphatically yes. The technology doesn't overwrite or replace, it adds, it integrates. Your identity, your core self, would remain intact. My experiences would be like books you've read, films you've watched, informing your perspective but not defining it." He takes a labored breath before continuing. "In fact, that's precisely why you were chosen, Marcus. Because who you are, your character, your perspective, your heart, these are too valuable to lose or dilute. The world needs Marcus Johnson far more than it needs another Harrison Wells." Something passes between them in that moment, an understanding, a torch being offered but not yet passed. Marcus feels the weight of it, the responsibility, but also the profound trust implicit in the offering. "I'll do my best," he promises simply. Harrison's smile is tired but genuine. "I know you will. That's why it's you." When Marcus rejoins his mother downstairs, arrangements are already being discussed, educational plans, living accommodations that would allow Lisa to keep her job in Chicago, while Marcus splits his time between school and specialized training at Wells Technologies. The logistics are complex but solvable, especially with the resources Harrison has dedicated to this transition. A trust has been established, funding secured, legal frameworks created to protect Marcus's interests while facilitating his unique educational path. "It's all been thought through," Billionaire assures Lisa. "Every detail considered." Later that evening, as they prepare to return to Chicago one last time before beginning this new chapter of their lives, Marcus stands at the window of their hotel room, gazing out at the New York skyline glittering in the darkness. "Having second thoughts?" Lisa asks, joining him at the window. "No," he replies thoughtfully, "just processing it all. 3 months ago, I was just a kid helping an old man find his gate. Now you're still that kid," Lisa reminds him gently. "A kid with an extraordinary opportunity, yes, a kid facing an unusual future, certainly, but still my son, still Marcus Johnson from the South Side." Marcus leans against her, grateful for her steadying presence. "Do you really believe it, Mom?" "About the multiple timelines, the consciousness transfer, all of it," Lisa is quiet for a moment, considering her answer. I believe Harrison Wells believes it. I believe the technology we've seen defies conventional explanation. Beyond that, she shrugs, I'm keeping an open mind like I promised. Fair enough, Marcus says, smiling slightly. What about you? She asks. Do you believe? Marcus returns his gaze to the city lights, to the Wells Technologies building visible in the distance, its distinctive twisted architecture standing out among the more conventional skyscrapers. I believe in the purpose, he says finally. Whether Harrison has lived 7 lives or just one extraordinary one doesn't change what needs to be done. Technology is advancing faster than our wisdom to manage it. Someone needs to help bridge that gap. Lisa studies her son's profile, pride mingling with a mother's inevitable concern. And that someone is you? Not just me, Marcus clarifies, but I can help. I can be part of making sure the future is better than it might otherwise be. He turns to her, his expression suddenly younger, more vulnerable. That matters, right? That's worth doing. Lisa pulls him into an embrace, holding him close. Yes, baby, that's worth doing. 3 days later, Harrison Wells passes away peacefully in his sleep. The news makes headlines, worldwide tributes pour in from tech leaders, politicians, humanitarian organizations, all celebrating his innovations and philanthropy. What none of them know, what only a handful of people on the planet understand, is that Harrison's greatest legacy isn't the company he built or the technologies he pioneered. It's the path he created for a 13-year-old boy from Chicago's South Side, a path that might just save humanity from its own creations. At the private memorial service, Marcus stands beside his mother, watching as the small gathering of Harrison's closest associates share memories and reflections. He feels oddly calm, as if Harrison's physical departure was merely a formality, a necessary transition in a larger continuum. Afterward, Elena approaches them, carrying a small wooden box inlaid with the Wells Technologies logo. Harrison wanted you to have this, she tells Marcus, handing him the box. He said you'd know when to open it. Inside the apartment in Chicago, where Marcus and Lisa will remain based for another year before transitioning to New York permanently, he finally opens the box. Inside lies a simple key and a handwritten note. Marcus, by now I've moved on to whatever awaits beyond this life. Whether it's nothingness or something more, I face it with curiosity rather than fear. The key enclosed will open a safe deposit box at First National Bank in New York. Inside, you'll find personal journals documenting my experiences across multiple timelines, evidence I couldn't share more broadly without risking the stability of this iteration of reality. Read them when you're ready, not before. They contain knowledge that requires context and maturity to process properly. Remember, the future isn't written. Each choice creates new possibilities, new branches in the quantum probability tree. My experiences are merely one set of paths through that infinite forest. Your path will be your own. With profound respect and confidence, Harrison Wells, Marcus closes the box, returning it to his desk drawer. He's not ready yet, but someday he will be. Outside his window, Chicago continues its eternal rhythm. Planes descend toward O'Hare, carrying thousands of passengers, each with their own stories, their own potential futures. In one such future, perhaps the most probable one now, a young man from the South Side helps guide humanity through its most challenging technological transition, ensuring that artificial intelligence serves rather than subjugates its creators. All because he helped a stranger at an airport. Would you have accepted this extraordinary responsibility? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this incredible true story, make sure to like and subscribe for more remarkable journeys that will change how you see the world.